I would argue that the United States was absolutely dominant from the end of World War II, 1945, to around the mid-70s. Those 30 years, 30 années glorieuses, were spectacular for the United States. It was the only economy to emerge from World War II largely unaffected. I mean, it's important for people to remember. Bombs fell on Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. After that, nothing. No bomb fell here. Nothing was destroyed. No factory burnt. Nothing. And the number of troops were sent to Europe and Japan, but they were relatively small as a percentage of the population. Perhaps most important to understand was that the war was an economic blessing to the United States because it put millions of people back to work who had been unemployed for the entirety of the 1930s. The Great Depression staggered the American economy. Production fell. It's not that it didn't grow, it fell. In 1933, 25% of the American labor force is out of work. 1 out of 4 workers, every family has an unemployed person.
Because of the Great Depression.
Because of the Great Depression. So they tried everything to fix it. Didn't work. One thing worked at the end. War. For the war, half the unemployed were put in a uniform, and the other half were given jobs making the uniform. So suddenly you had, and the guns, and the bullets, and the planes. So suddenly you had full employment. Never had that before. For 6 years, basically in 1939-40, when it begins to 45, you had the rebuilding of an economy. Now, yes, for war, but everything had to be built up for the war. You had to rebuild your steel, your coal, your iron, all of it. You know, there's a similarity today that people don't see, but they should. The war in Ukraine has enabled the Russians to stimulate and rebuild their economy so that for the last 3 years of the war now, the rate of growth of the economy of Russia is greater than that of the United States. The war isn't hurting them. The war is functioning for Russia the way the war did for the United States back in the day of the World War II.